The Dreamwalker, written by Zach Coldiron. Arc 1, The Dreamer. Dream 1. It had been a year since Walker had joined the Worshippers. The weight of the sect's rituals and beliefs transformed him. The once extroverted and emotional boy had turned into a stoic, introverted young man. He now bore the Worshippers' insignia on his mask, a geometric emblem of Noctis rendered in a vibrant violet. His skin was now painted in a deep purple like his comrades', showing his devotion. The mask and body paint have become reminders of the young man that he is transformed into. One frigid evening, the Worshippers arrived at a remote hamlet resting in the shadows of the Etherspine Mountains, where the forest loomed over like an ominous guardian. The village was a scattering of dainty cottages, seemingly drained of any life. Its denizens trudged about with sunken eyes. Their gaunt faces were displaying great desperation.
"Welcome to our small village,"
the voice of a middle-aged man welcomed the group cautiously. His leathered skin and unkempt black hair displayed the strain of sleepless nights. He addressed the sect's leader, Somnus, whose presence commanded silent reverence. Somnus elevated his head slightly, his dark robes catching the glimmer of the torchlight the villager was carrying. The man hesitated, but continued, his voice trembling with desperation.
"You are more than welcome to stay and make camp, but we beg for your aid,"
the man pleaded to them.
"None of us have been able to sleep for days. We no longer eat. You all seem to be versed in magic. Can you help us?"
Somnus regarded the man with a calm and penetrating gaze through his mask. He replied in a soft, yet measured tone.
"We seek to help wherever we are called."
The nearby villagers let out an audible gasp. A glimmer of hope swelled in their eyes. Emboldened by Somnus's words, they pleaded further.
"Please, anything you can do. We will do whatever you ask."
Somnus exchanged no further words aloud. Instead, his voice echoed telepathically through the minds of his followers.
"Prepare the ritual. We shall bring these people peace."
Walker felt the familiar vibrations of Somnus's commands and joined in preparation with silent precision. He knelt in the dirt, drawing Noctis's sigil with a stick and carefully embedding the hair of a twilight hag into its grooves. As he worked, Walker noticed a young girl standing nearby, her green, wide eyes fixated on him. Unlike the other villagers, her gaze seemingly leered into his past, and through his mask, or so it seemed. Despite her pale complexion and the dark circles under her eyes, she seemed strangely aware. Walker concluded his etching and approached the girl.
"What troubles you, little one?"
His voice was softer than it once was. Gone was the anger that used to define him. Now he carried the calmness of the very night itself. The girl hesitated. Her lips were trembling.
"I can see it too. The darkness. It's inside me."
Walker crouched to meet her eye level, intrigued.
"What does it show you?" "A door,"
she responded softly, her voice barely audible.
"A door that never opens."
Walker frowned slightly, but offered her a gentle smile.
Perhaps when this is done, we can look together. We'll find the answers in your dreams.
He rose. His dark painted hand lingered on her shoulder for a brief moment.
Stay strong.
Somnus's telepathic voice rang out once more.
It is time to begin.
The worshippers formed a wide circle around the sigil, their hymns chanted in the ancient tongue of the Vesprin. Their intricate lines in the dirt glowed purple, pulsing like the beat of a heart. The sky above them shifted into an eerie violet hue that descended over the hamlet like a blanket. The chanting concluded. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, Somnus's voice returned, cold and clinical.
As I suspected, a twilight hag has cursed this place. We must split into groups of 4 to hunt it down.
The sect divided quickly, each led by a shroud, identifiable by the crescent moon veiled by a black shroud tattooed on their right hand. They were joined by dreamers, marked by a crescent moon surrounded by stars. Then rounding off each group were 2 sleepers, whose tattoos only bore the crescent moon. Walker, a sleeper, found himself under the command of Euclid, a shroud known for her sharp instincts. The group concluded with Reverie, the dreamer, and Nixia, another sleeper. Euclid was a druid, a spellcaster who could bridge the gaps between the natural and supernatural worlds. Her ability to polymorph into other creatures gave her an advantage in stealth and reconnaissance. She served under Somnus as one of the 4 other shrouds in the worshippers. Reverie, a wizard known in the sect to be a man of pure silence and unnatural stillness, has been with the worshippers for quite some time. They were known to be odd in the group. Those who struck up a conversation with him were met by an occasional twitch and no words in return. Lastly, Nixia was the frontliner of this squad. She was known for her proficiency in using double scimitars. When she would fight in combat, mostly among monsters and beasts encountered by travel, her use of the blade was like a dancing cyclone. Once the 4 gathered near one another, Euclid began to instruct them.
We'll head northeast, to the base of the ether spine.
Her telepathic command was blunt.
Move quietly, and stay alert.
The group swiftly disembarked toward their objective. The hike was arduous. The rolling hills transformed into sharp inclines as they ventured deeper into the night. The air grew colder, and the rhythmic chirping of nocturnal insects surrounded them, masking any distant sounds. Shadows seemed to move among the trees, though whether they were tricks of the mind or something more sinister, none could say. After hours of careful travel, a foul odor suddenly filled the air, a rancid odor that clung to their nostrils. Euclid halted abruptly, her head tilting as she inhaled sharply. Her telepathic voice broke through the silence.
Halt. I smell death. A fresh kill. Perhaps more than one. Be vigilant and silent.
A faint purple glow emanated from her hands as she cast a veil of silence over the group. The arcane energy extended in thin, shimmering threads to Walker, Nixia, and Reverie, muffling their movements and erasing their tracks. They spread out cautiously, each member seeking cover behind trees and bushes, scanning their surroundings with heightened awareness. Walker was the first to spot the body. His breath caught in his throat as his eyes fell on the mangled remains of an elven man. The corpse lay sprawled across the ground, its stomach grotesquely torn open as though raked by claws. The spilled entrails glistened in the dim moonlight, pooling in the soil, presenting a sickening display. Walker felt a wave of nausea rise in his chest, his stomach knotting painfully.
I found something,
he projected telepathically, his mental voice trembling.
30 yards to the east.
Within moments, Euclid appeared at his side, her movements unnervingly quiet. She crouched beside the corpse, her sharp eyes scanning the scene. With a slight frown, she extended her telepathic link to the rest of the group.
It's fresh. Less than an hour old. A Twilight Hag's handiwork, no doubt. The body's cursed. Don't touch it. And stay on guard.
Her warning was cut short by a chilling sound. A cackling laugh that seemed to echo from every direction at once. The noise was high-pitched and unnatural, like shards of glass scraping together. Walker's pulse quickened, his heart pounding as the laughter grew louder and more frenzied. Then came a rush of energy, a violent burst of arcane power slicing through the air. Walker barely had time to dive behind a tree as a bolt of dark magic slammed into the ground where he'd stood moments before, scorching the dirt.
Defensive positions!
Euclid's voice rang clear in their minds.
Do not engage unless necessary. The hag is near.
Walker peeked out from behind the tree, his body trembling with adrenaline. The forest around them seemed alive now, branches twisting and shifting unnaturally as shadows danced and flickered. A figure emerged from the darkness. A hunched, grotesque silhouette with spindly limbs and glowing yellow eyes. The hag's ragged cloak billowed as if moved by an unseen wind, and her claws gleamed like polished obsidian, dripping in the thick crimson ichor of what the four could only assume originated from the corpse that they discovered. She tilted her head, her grin stretching impossibly wide, revealing jagged teeth. "Such devoted little sheep," she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. "You dare to hunt me, to meddle in my work." Euclid stepped forward, her hands crackling with purple energy as she faced the hag. "You've cursed this village and brought suffering to its people. Your time here ends tonight." The hag cackled again, louder this time. "Do you think yourselves saviors? You follow a god who offers only shadows and lies." She raised one clawed hand, and the forest seemed to close in further, branches writhing in like serpents. "Come, then. Show me the strength of your convictions." Before anyone could react, the hag lunged forward, her movements a blur. Walker barely had time to summon his focus, his hands trembling as he reached for the power of the ritual, still lingering in the air. The battle for the people of the hamlet, and perhaps their very souls, had begun.